The one who knows your name. When Mariana first heard her name spoken from the empty apartment, she decided it was just exhaustion. She had come back late, after a night shift. The old building creaked as usual, the elevator wasn't working, and she had to climb the stairs. On the third floor, a flickering light bulb cast shadows that moved slightly out of rhythm with her steps. Just overworked, she whispered to herself as she unlocked the door. The apartment was dark and quiet. Too quiet. Even the refrigerator wasn't humming. She took off her jacket, stepped into the hallway, and then she heard it. Mariana. The voice was soft, neither male nor female, as if someone were trying to remember how human speech sounded. She spun around. Empty. Nonsense, she said louder, turning on the light. Everything was in place. Shoes, mirror, old wardrobe. Nothing unusual. But the feeling didn't go away. The feeling that someone was standing in the apartment, just not where she could see. She barely slept that night. The next day, Mariana found a note on the kitchen table. The paper was old, yellowed, as if it had been lying around for decades. The handwriting was uneven, broken. Do not open the door after the third call. She laughed nervously. All right, very funny. The laughter died when she realized she lived alone. The note couldn't have appeared there by itself. She crumpled the paper and threw it into the trash. That evening, when silence settled in, someone knocked on the door. Once. She froze. Twice. Who's there? She asked, trying not to tremble. Silence. She was almost at the door when she remembered the words from the note. After the third call, the third knock didn't come from outside. It came from behind her. Mariana, open. She didn't turn around. She couldn't. Her body no longer seemed to belong to her. The knocking repeated. Now, from the mirror in the hallway. The reflection in the mirror slowly smiled. But Mariana didn't. The following days turned into a nightmare. The voice called her everywhere. In the bathroom, in the stairwell, in her dreams. It knew everything about her. Childhood fears, forgotten thoughts, things she had never told anyone. Once, she dared to answer. Who are you? The reply came from inside the walls. The one who lived here before you. The one who was forgotten. She found old documents about the building. Once, a man had lived in her apartment. A recluse. His body was never found. In the records it said, missing. But the neighbors whispered something else. They said he never went outside. They said he learned how to stay. One night, Mariana woke to a whisper beside her bed. You hear me better than the others. I almost remember how to be human. I only need one thing. She closed her eyes. What? She whispered. The pause dragged on. A place. She felt something cold and heavy settle on her chest. The air grew thick. I'm tired of being in between. You're perfect. You hear. You look. She wanted to scream. She couldn't. Now you will live here. And I will go. The neighbors didn't notice the changes right away. Mariana grew quieter. She stared too intently. Sometimes she smiled at nothing. But the most frightening thing was something else. She always answered when someone called her name, even if the voice didn't come from outside. One evening, someone knocked on her door. Once, twice, 3 times, and the door slowly opened. Come in, Mariana said. Her voice wasn't entirely hers. Because now, in that apartment, no one was alone. The new residents appeared quickly. A young couple, Teras and Alina. They laughed, dragged boxes, brought life into a place where it had been gone for a long time. Mariana stood in the hallway, staring through the peephole without blinking. They can't hear, something whispered inside her. Not yet. She opened the door before they had a chance to knock. Welcome, she said. I'm your neighbor. Her smile was proper. Too proper. On the first night, Alina woke up at 3:17 a.m. She thought she heard someone walking around the apartment. Slowly, carefully, as if learning how to step. Terrace, she whispered. Did you hear that? Hear what? He mumbled without waking. Then, from the kitchen, came Alina. She sat up sharply. Did you say that? Silence. Then, again, Alina, I'm here. She followed the sound. Each step felt heavier than the last. The kitchen was empty, but on the table lay a note. Old. Yellowed. Don't answer. It learns through the voice. Alina crumpled the paper. Stupid jokes, she said out loud. And at that very moment, something rejoiced. Mariana sat in her apartment and listened. She no longer heard with her ears. She felt sound passing through the walls. Felt how fear opened doors that couldn't be seen. She's almost ready, Mariana thought. No. The voice inside her replied. Not yet. She doubts. And we need those who speak out loud. Mariana stepped up to the mirror. Her reflection lagged for a moment. Am I alive? She asked quietly. The reflection blinked. For as long as you're needed. On the third night, Tara's woke with the feeling that someone was watching him. Not from the corner. Not from the doorway. From the ceiling. Alina, he whispered. And the ceiling whispered back. Terrace. He screamed. The light came on. Nothing. No signs. Only wet footprints, leading upward along the wall. We're moving out, he said in the morning. Today. Alina nodded. She was no longer sure they were here alone. When they opened the door, Mariana was already standing there. You're leaving? She asked with feigned regret. There's something wrong with this place, Terrace said. Mariana tilted her head. Have you tried just listening? At that moment, Alina turned pale. Because the voice that had called her at night was now coming from Mariana's mouth. Alina, you, she whispered. It's you. No, Mariana replied. I am the door. And the door closed. The police arrived a day later. There were no signs of a struggle in the couple's apartment. The suitcases stood by the door. The phones lay on the table. But on the wall, someone had scratched with their nails. We answered. And in Mariana's apartment, they found a mirror. In it, there were 3 reflections. Now, in the building, people more often hear someone calling their names. Always softly. Always in a familiar voice. And if you're reading this right now, and you thought you heard someone whisper your name, don't answer. Because it already knows how you sound. Several months passed. The building had grown accustomed to its new rules. Doors no longer slammed. People didn't argue. They didn't laugh loudly. People had learned to stay silent. In the elevator, no one looked in the mirror. On the stairs, they didn't answer, even when someone called their name. Children no longer played hide and seek, because one day, a boy hid, and it wasn't humans who found him. Mariana now lived between the apartments. Not physically. She appeared in reflections, in darkened windows, in turned-off phone screens. Sometimes someone would see her silhouette behind them, but never ahead. She no longer remembered what it was like to be alone. We are growing. The voices inside the walls whispered. Every name is a crack. Every answer is a door. One night, the lights in the entire building went out. All at once, people peeked from their apartments, holding phones, but the screens showed only black mirrors. And in each one, someone stood beside them. The first scream came from the 5th floor. Someone answered, and that was enough. Names poured out like water from a broken pipe. The building came alive. The walls breathed. The doors whispered. The ceiling sagged, as if someone crawled on the other side of reality, trying to find a weak spot. Mariana stood in the center of the stairwell. For the first time, truly alone. I did everything you wanted, she said into the void. Now let me go. The reply did not come as a voice. It came as memories. Her childhood, cut out and twisted. Her face, someone else's. Her name, spoken by hundreds of mouths with no bodies. You were never the door, she realized. You were the first key, the building replied. Her body slowly dissolved into shadow, like breath on cold glass. And the building remained. Now it no longer waits for the night. It calls during the day, sends messages, uses the voices of those close to you. And if you ever get a call, and hear a pause in the receiver, followed by your name, spoken too perfectly, don't answer. Because buildings no longer need walls. They have learned to live inside people.